welcome to HCN Evening News Bulletin with me, Clinton D'Souza, and here are the top stories. There is a new twist to the CZMP hearing date and venue. On Wednesday, the citizens of Goa have strongly objected to the venue and the date for the scheduled CZMP hearing of South Goa social activists and speakers planning to raise objection at the public hearing before the finalisation of Goa's coastal zone management plan. They have objected to the timing of the public hearing. They have alleged that the authorities are trying to put people's lives in danger during this pandemic. They have submitted a memorandum to the South Goa collector in this regard. Watch to what they have to say. The government, on the other hand, has started their flowing orders of the National Green Tribunal. Here is what the people have to say.
सद्याक 1,000 लोक टेस्टिंग पॉझिटिव्ह जाता पर डे आणि रेड अलर्ट जाता 48 वरां भितर पूण तरी लोकांक सारको सेफली वेन्यू जाग्याचेर पावपाक जाय आनी परतूय वचपाक जाय आनी सिन्स द पेंडेमीक इज स्टील ऑन नाव this is a disaster, no? People's health and safety, because under section 269, whoever unlawfully or negligently does any act which is and which he knows or has reason to believe to be likely to spread the infection of any disease dangerous to life shall be punished with imprisonment or any other with 6 months or whatever, the discretion of the government. But हे देश बरे जाणा जावन गव्हर्मेंटान असली तारीख इतल्या पावसाच्या प्रमाणात ठरवप आनी असल्या जाग्याचेर योग दिली. It is not appropriate at all, it is not right, so we have requested to change the venue and the date suitable, keeping the safety of people in mind.
आम्हा साउथ कलेक्टर ऑलरेडी एक लेटर दिलो हाफ ऑब्जेक्शन वेन्यूआ लागून आनी गव्हर्मेंटान पासून चिंतूंक जाय एसो पेंडेमीक आतां हें ते इफ द वेन्यू दॅट दे हॅव डिसायडेड इज व्हेरी रिस्की ओके ते अशें पार्किंग प्लॉट अशें नॉर्मल दिसा पासून शॉपकिपर थिंग पार्किंग कोताय जाल्यार हाव आर यू इवन थिंकींग टू हॅव दॅट प्लेस एज अ वेन्यू एंड स्पेशली इन दिस पीक सीजन ऑफ मॉन्सून आनी कोवीड चल्लो आहा वी आर स्टील नॉट ऑन झिरो डेथ्स आर वी इनवायटींग मोर नंबर्स टू गो हाय अगेन and we are already preparing third wave. So government तेजी मात चिंतूंक जाय आनी तेका लागून आमी हें आनी एक लेटर एनवायरमेंटल मिनिस्टराक दिवपा वयताय प्लस वी हॅव डन अ CC टू दी हेल्थ मिनिस्टर ओके सो आय होप दे टेक दिस इनटू कन्सिडरेशन.
Good evening viewers. Today's video tutorial is a little different. It does not analyze an issue, but it delves deep into a very burning issue that is doing the rounds in Goa. This is about the recent child kidnapping case, where an absolute infant was kidnapped from the Goa Medical College by a woman from the Saleli area in the Sattari Taluka. And of course the woman has been arrested, the child has been reunited with his biological mother. And of course, investigations are going on. One would like to stress specifically on what really happened. What went through this woman's mind? Why did she actually kidnap a child? The reason why I'm stressing so much and delving into this is it actually talks of a larger malaise that still plagues society. It, in the sense that this urge for a child, an urge for a male child especially, but it could be about any child, drives a mother or a would-be mother or a wanting to be mother to lengths such as these. And while there is a deep psychological side to this whole thing, I thought it's important to narrate completely the incidents that led to this kidnapping of the child and the planning, the detailed planning that was going on. This woman from Saleli village in Sattari planned this kidnapping. Of course, she didn't think she was kidnapping a child. She basically was negotiating, checking with hospitals, seeing if there are unwed mothers who could give her this boy child. Remember, she has 3 daughters. She has 3 daughters and she wanted a boy child desperately. And the entire planning for over 9 months that unfolded, culminating in what happened in GMC, is a fascinating story. It's almost unbelievable. When I heard it from the victims, from people who are associated with the victims assistance committee, engaged by the state. There is a formal committee to assist victims of these kind of activities under the Goa Children's Act. Obviously protects and has a large scope, and the act has also spoken of how victims need different kinds of assistance from lawyers, from psychiatrists and others. So this victims assistance committee has been recording the statements of all concerned: the biological mother, the kidnapper, if one can call her that. Obviously, under the eyes of the law, she is, and they have pieced together a fascinating tale of how this was completely planned. Now, this information, of course, has been gleaned from police sources and other sources, and people who've spoken to people who are doing the investigations, and the role of the Victims Assistance Committee is absolutely commendable. So, without further ado, I'll tell you what really happened. I will not take any names because that shouldn't be done as per protocol, but I'll tell you the story. Now, this woman from the Saleli village in Satri, she had 3 daughters, and she was longing for a child, a boy child. But after the 3 daughters, she actually underwent a surgery to stop getting pregnant again. However, after some time, this urge to have a boy child was kind of came back, and she even went to the extent of the Goa Medical College, went to the OPD department and asked doctors if this whole process could be reversed, whether there was a surgery which would allow her to conceive again. So it just shows the mental state that she was in. Anyway, of course, that couldn't be done for obvious reasons. She went back to her village, and what she did was she told her husband, obviously, after a few days, and obviously she suddenly broke this news to her husband that she was pregnant again. Now, we do not know how her husband believed it, whether she spun a tale saying that she has taken medicines and reversed that whole process where she could conceive again. We do not know how she managed to convince her gullible husband that she could be pregnant again. And this is something that she herself has said in her statement. So we do not know. That is still a grey area. But however, the long story short, she managed to convince her husband that she was pregnant. Now, how did she get through these 9 months of pregnancy? She got through these 9 months of pregnancy by actually putting clothes in her stomach and to show her baby bump. It is again surprising. Again, in the remote village, her husband, I don't know whether he fell for it or not, whether the husband was involved in the whole thing, or is this part just a cooked up story, is something we do not know. But this is something she surely told the people who are interrogating her. She said that she spent these 9 months gradually by increasing the baby bump by putting more clothes so as to tell people that her baby was growing. Then what she did was, at the end of a 9-month period, she went to GMC telling her husband not to come with her, saying that because of COVID, there would be severe restrictions and nobody would be allowed to come. So she would go with a friend to GMC, get herself admitted, do the delivery, and then call them. So she spent 10 days in GMC in the OPD or outside hanging around. Obviously, she couldn't go in. And when she announced, obviously, as a fake news to her relatives that she had indeed delivered a baby boy, her husband and another relative went to GMC to see her, obviously. So what she did was, she came out of the maternity ward and met them outside, saying that obviously they could not go inside to see the baby because of COVID restrictions. And of course, she met them, said the baby was fine, and so on and so forth. And then, obviously, the time came for her discharge. So she came back home, obviously not with the baby, but with a lot of bundles, towels and stuff like that, as if to show that she had wrapped up the baby and brought the baby. and she did not show the baby to anybody in the family, saying that there are a lot of COVID cases, and her husband actually works in a company, in the Bicholi Taluka, where there were 2 COVID deaths. So she actually spun this yarn to her husband, saying that I cannot show you the baby because there have been COVID deaths in your factory, and suppose you'll get COVID later, you might infect the child. And of course there was another tale spun. The husband apparently fell for this story also. After a few days, she said the baby had boils on his back, because it was a male baby according to her, and she would take the baby to the GMC for a checkup. So on that fateful day when this kidnapping happened, she left home, took 500 rupees from her husband for medicines and so on and so forth, went to the Azila hospital in Mapsa first to see if there were any unwed mothers who had delivered and wanted to abandon and give away the child. She actually did that, and obviously she ran against a blank wall, left Azilo and Mapsa, took a bus, went to GMC and tried her luck. She was hanging around where, as luck would have it, she met a family that had come to vaccinate the male child, the baby child. She befriended them in front of the OPD, had different conversations with them, told the husband of that boy, the father of that boy, to go and check at the information counter whether COVID vaccine bookings were going on. So she apparently cooked up a story saying, if you go to this counter and they'll give you a number, and if you call them, they'll give you a booking for vaccination. Then as soon as the husband left, she told another lady who had come with the family that some monies has fallen on the ground there and she could go and check. So she dispatched the other one. So then she was left with the biological mother and the child, and she told the biological mother, who was slightly handicapped, saying that she was hungry and whether she could get samosas while she would hold on to her baby. And then of course the biological mother trusted her and went to the Nescafe store to pick up the samosas, and she completely vamoosed with the child. Went, and as we all know, she took a pilot from GMC to Panjim. From Panjim she took a bus she took a pilot to Panjim. From Panjim she took another pilot to go to Mapsa. Because it was raining, the pilot stopped in Porvorim. From there she took a bus and went to Mapsa. From Mapsa she managed to hitch a ride from somebody else and went from Mapsa to Dodamarg, in the Bicholi Taluka. From when she got down at the Dodamarg junction, that big junction, there she met another man who was kind of known but lived in close to her village. And that man told her, okay, I will take you since you're carrying a baby. So she got onto the motorcycle with that man, went up to towards Saleli. When she went to Saleli, there of course it was raining very heavily and they could not proceed further. So she took shelter in the home of one person who's a local village driver and who's known to the family. She took shelter in that driver's family with the baby, and then when her worried husband, late in the evening, he tried going looking for her because she had not come back from the hospital where she had gone to apparently do a checkup of the then fictitious baby. So the husband comes, and when the husband comes in, of course the village is small, and the husband realizes that she's with the driver, somebody tells him, and then he reaches the driver's house, and lo and behold, she shows the baby's face, because this is the only time she actually has a baby, and she shows the baby's face to the husband. And the husband for the first time sees this baby. Who was this baby? This was the kidnapped baby who she had got from GMC that day. So this is the extent of the planning that went into this. And the husband, according to him, it was the first time he saw the baby. According to him, that was his biological child. Of course, the husband now knows what the situation is, because the police soon enough found out. They swooped down on that area, they checked CCTV footage, they arrested the woman. But let us be sensitive to the fact that, look, she is not a member of any criminal gang. She is somebody who planned the whole thing out. She was desperate for a boy child, and while one cannot condone what she has done, because she's put another woman and her family into a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt, a lot of fear, So she is really hurt another family. But one should also look at her state of mind and the extent that she went to, the planning that she did to get a boy child. This speaks volumes about our society at large. We really haven't been able to kind of educate people, to inculcate this whole this whole concept of equality among genders. And while of course we know childless women do this, but here we have a case of a woman with 3 children doing this just to get a boy child. One wanted to bring this out, not necessarily to castigate her, but the idea is to tell society that let's look at this with a little bit of understanding, if not empathy, a little bit of understanding. One cannot obviously justify kidnapping another child and making the child go through this horrific trauma. That cannot be justified under any circumstances. But let us also look at what really happened and how this woman did what she did, to lie, to cheat, to hoodwink so many people, to do this deed. Of course, she is under a lot of trouble, but she needs counseling, she needs care, and while the society will treat her as an accused, one should also look at the circumstances which led to what she did. And I think that's something that needs understanding. I also had the opportunity to talk to Dr. Madhu Godkirekar, who is a very senior forensic doctor. He is based at the South Goa Hospital, and he has looked at a lot of case studies of people, of women who have done these kind of acts. And these not only case studies, this whole phenomenon has been mapped by reputed journals in the UK and the US, and he's gone deep into it and seen that this kind of a mindset actually has been medically recorded, and he's spoken of that, and he's spoken about what really happens. At the same time, he also speaks about the fact that there is also an existing racket between well-to-do childless women and families and the deals that they do with unwed mothers and people who don't want to have babies. That's another very, very sad aspect of the whole situation. Dr. Madhu, in his interview to me, speaks about both these issues. Please watch.
Meanwhile, Dr. Madhu was questioned whether well-to-do childless families, including those who live abroad and unwed mothers, strike a deal to hand over their babies as illegally born to their adoptive parents. This is what Dr. Madhu had to say.
Hello and welcome, Dr. Madhu Godkirekar. He is, of course, a very senior forensic expert in charge of the morgue in South Goa. He has been closely monitoring and gathering information on the recent horrific case of child kidnapping which happened from the GMC in Goa. While a lot has been spoken about the criminal aspect of how this young child was kidnapped, I think what's extremely important for us to know here is that there is another story beyond just the criminal story. There is a deep psychological angle to the whole story. There are cases of many childless mothers and mothers who even want boy children, irrespective of whether they have a girl child at home or not, also indulging in such activities due to psychological issues. And there is a trend here on how unwed mothers and women who do not really want to keep the child have actually been passing off children to other mothers who've been wanting children in a manner which is illegal. But today, I think what we'll speak to with Dr. Madhu is the deep psychological and social and other factors which play a part in making relatively simple and innocent women to even take this horrific step of kidnapping to get a child. Dr. Madhu, over to you, and if you can just tell us what this is all about.
When I heard that first breaking news that one child has been taken away from mother at GMC, I thought that child lifting gang has reached in Goa. Fortunately, when the child was struck somewhere in the North Goa, that time it was realized that it was not a child lifting case, but a child stealing case.
What is the difference between child lifting and child stealing?
Yeah, child lifting is gang comes. It's well planned, like plan it in such a way child is taken away, stolen literally, and then they use for the child labor or selling it somewhere else. The prostitutions and all. Here is a different case. It is a rare case, not written much about in medical literature. Hello.
Yes, please carry on.
British Medical Journal has reported this study. This is called a child stealing. And within the child stealing can be anything, like it can be for the blackmailing, it can be for the kidnapping itself for the ransom. And rarely it becomes something called supposititious child or fictitious child. Here it is one of the rare psychological complex developed in the woman. It is not necessarily for the male child. Even the woman who doesn't have children, or she has gone continuously abortion, or something like they don't have son. In such cases, usually they first manage to have understanding with the females who doesn't want child, want of social stigma, like unwed mothers, widows, and they plan it just like a surrogate. It is they plan it such a way, then they create a scene that the woman is pregnant. Even she goes for the delivery and comes with a real child. But rarely something happens that they don't have the child to bring it, and it may be it becomes it goes to such a complex level. They steal child and bring it over here. Thank God that police reach over there and traced it.
So how can society handle such cases? Because I believe at this point of time, the victims assistance unit is is working very closely. It's obviously a team of individuals, advocates, lawyers, psychologists who are working with the Goa police, and they are also questioning and speaking to both the biological mother and the kidnapper, for the lack of a better reference at this point of time. They are even speaking to the accused at this point of time to get their statements and so on and so forth. So speaking of the whole psychological impact and how we can address it, what are your solutions to seeing that these cases come down and we do not have a repeat of such cases?
Fortunately, Goa is well ahead about such matters. In 2003, we got the Children Act, Goa Children Act in Goa, and this has this all aspect. That is compulsory that all these cases police has to take officially assistance of victim assistance unit. Where they don't take, they have this entire Goa Children Act is to have a holistic approach to the crimes committed. It is not looking at crimes and point out their accused. So the the use of the role of child assistance unit here is to take care of both victim as well as mother. For them, actually, they are victim of circumstances. For me,
Right.
both are victims.
Correct.
Legally,
Correct.
she will be punished for what she has done wrong, that is act of kidnapping. But at the same time, system will also assist to her to come out of that guilt, that the crime, whatever act she has committed out of psychological complex.
Doctor, one last question and a very important question here. Our findings tell us that at the end of the day, this is a practice that is being, of course, followed by people who are psychologically disturbed, who want other children, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, it's not just limited to this strata of society. We have seen cases where very well-to-do women, many of them living abroad, Indians living abroad, and women who can afford to adopt children. We know that there are cases where this strata of society has also indulged in such practices, in the sense that they have also done deals with poor women who give birth, or women from disadvantaged state of society who do not want children, and who do deals with a lot of rich, well-to-do women, including people from our state. And there have been instances where this has happened. A deal has been struck a poor woman has gone to the hospital, has also delivered, and then the baby has been handed over to the so-called adoptive parents, but they don't go through the process of adoption. And then the hospital also has many hospitals have been unscrupulous. They've also played a role in this. And the medical certificate, oh sorry, the birth certificate is made out with the names of the parents being of the adoptive parents. And then this child becomes a legally born child of the adoptive parents and does not grow up as an adopted.
Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Yeah, unfortunately, it is still happening, but we, in the best way, it's done in the good faith, in the best interest of the child. That's only I can criticize what is going wrong, but people take it under cover that what is done is in the best interest of the child.
Now, the state government has finally lifted the ban on recruitment process in government departments, grade in aided institution, autonomous bodies and corporation and PSUs. Ahead of February 2017 Assembly election, the then Laxmikant Parsekar government had imposed a ban on all recruitment in the government sector for smoother implementation of the 7th Pay Commission recommendation to the employees, as the additional financial liability to the state was the tune of rupees 47 crore a month. The ban was to be revived in 6 months. Heavy rains lashed most parts of Goa on Wednesday. The IMD Goa has issued a warning of likely extremely heavy rainfall, more than 204.4 millimeters in 24 hours. The IMD has also predicted heavy rainfall in the state until Friday in both North and South Goa district. Parts of Panaji saw traffic diversion and waterlogging on Wednesday. The cumulative rainfall received of about 119.5 mm in Old Goa, 101 mm in Panaji, and 101 mm in Penne. While on the other hand, the traffic jam and congestion was witnessed once again in the capital city on Wednesday due to the ongoing repair works of the road near the Pato Bridge. Earlier, the mayor had assured that the work would be completed soon and there would be a smooth flow of traffic from Wednesday onwards, but nothing happened the way he promised. Take a look.
As you can see, this road, this gutter, what you see now was totally clogged. And the silt and the mud, because there were nearly 3 feet deep. We managed to remove it. Also the gutter collapsed on its own. And because it collapsed on its own, we had no choice but to redo the entire drain, which we have done in record time. Now as you can see, the entire drain is ready, the slabs have been put. Now we have put in the concrete on top, so it requires curing. It requires at least 2 days of curing. So by day after tomorrow, latest day after tomorrow evening will be open for vehicle activity. Okay. And then to supplement that, we are constructing a new one along the side, so that whatever perennial flooding used to be all these years will no longer exist anymore in Punjab, at least in this area. That's how we have done even at DJ Circle and near that Ambedkar Garden. There will be no more flooding. Fantastic job by Principal D. Especially I appreciate Principal Amy. He has done a good job. Good job. Hats off to him. Hats off. Here that suddenly collapsed. So he had to open everything. He is not doing his personal any work. It is for the people. Public. So we should appreciate because it's deep झाले collapse झाले वही तो पडलंच भितर मी पुढले ओपन करचे पडलेच त्याचा आम्ही काय उपायच नसलो ते तर करून असले सगळेच जॉब जाताले.
An under construction retaining wall collapse exposing the shoddy work by the contractor and GSIDC. With the incessant rain lashing the state for past couple of days, the under construction footpath and retaining wall collapsed at Old Lim. Locals came out with umbrellas and questioned to the work done by the authorities. They said, not even few days of monsoon and this retaining wall has washed away. While the local Benaulim MLA says the work is not completed yet. Watch.
सो आज हेजी कितल्याचो प्रोजेक्ट हो आनी कितें जालें
एक्चुअली प्रोजेक्ट क्लब करून केल्लो तेमी एज पर माय इन्फॉर्मेशन आयज एज पंचायतान चॅक केलें आनी 16 प्रोजेक्ट अलॉंग विथ बेनावलीम तो तेमी प्रोजेक्ट क्लब करून केला.
माती गेली सगळी शेतान ते पिड्यार आनी पयशे पिड्यार. सो हू इज गोइंग टू पे बॅक? वाय टॅक्स पेयर्स मनी इज नॉट यूज्ड वायजली. कंसल्टंट्स आर अपॉइंटेड. हितून कंसल्टंट्स अपॉइंट केल्ले आहा. So what was his role? What was the role? I know Mr. Govt and Kim Miranda, they have asked under RTI the studies done by the consultant. Even before we got the RTI, we have seen the consequences, meaning there was no proper studies done. It's not done in Orly and it is not done in Benaulim too. We demand that the GSIDC should be held responsible along with the contractors and the consultant, and not a single rupee should go from the taxpayers' money.
I had a meeting in Orly. They said they're going to build it only 1.5 meter. 2 weeks back, 2 or 3 weeks back, when we had another informal meeting here, it is now 3 meters this place. And today we see the whole place has come down. There has been no application of mind when building in a catchment area. They should have built it at a slope. They built it straight. When we were telling Jochel Alamau this and the engineers, they were making fun of us, asking to me, engineer.
मुगे भुरगेपणांत रस्ते पयलीं तेन्ना दिश्टी आहले तेजे कोण पळोवपाचे रस्ते डांबर बी आसना रस्त्यान. सो त्या रस्त्याक वचून मरे इगोर्ज दिश्टी पडटाली सारकी व्हडलेची. थंय व्हडले व्हडले हो मेन रस्तो आसता आमगे मारगांवचो कावेलसिबा रस्तो वयता त्या रस्त्याक वचून इगोर्ज दिश्टी पडटाली. आनी तेजेर मरे ते बांदा वयल्यान लोक चलोन वयतालो इगोजेक आदी. पूण मुगेले एक एम आशिल्लो तो म्हणजे बाबा आमी केन्ना तरी एलेक्ट जाले जाल्यार तो बांद सारको बांदून दिवन ती पोतो थिंगा आनको पडटा सगळें रान बिजारां तें उडोवन तो ओपन करपाक. सो पंचायतांनी रेजोल्युशन घेतलें आनी एक आमी थिंगा ब्युटिफिकेशन बांदपा म्हूण GSIDतल्यान पयशे सँक्शन केले. आतां तुका खबर आहा न्हू GSIDतल्यान पयशे खबर केले म्हणटकूच ते कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट कोणा पळो कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट पळो म्हणटकूच कोणाक सोजा म्हणटा पळो तेणें तें बांदून कॉमेस केलें. बांदून कॉमेसान तेणें तें आजून कॉम्प्लिकेशन म्हूण दिलें ना आपल्यागे कॉन्ट्रॅक्ट. आपल्यागेलें हें दिलें ना कॉम्प्लिकेशन की आपल्यागे थिंगा कॉम्प्लीट जालें म्हूण. तो बांदतालो तें कांय कॉम्प्लीट जालें ना. आनी थोडे कडेन कितें आसता क्ले आसता न्हू माती थोडे कडेन माती दीक आसता ते बडी.
Well, that's all we have in our today's news bulletin. For more updates, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel at HCN Goa or Twitter handle at OHeraldo Goa, or even follow us on Facebook at OHeraldo Goa. Thank you and stay safe.